I had never set out to be a White House correspondent. I was extremely insecure and very intimidated by the role. I felt like everybody in the room knew more than I did. But I just forced myself, just like I have in the past, to face my fears and ask the questions that I needed to. In the early days, I would ask questions with my hands shaking. They don't shake anymore. I'm Kimberly Halkett, correspondent for Al Jazeera, based in Washington, D.C. And between us, covering the White House is sometimes like being on an island. I thought I was doing everything wrong. I remember early on in my career asking questions and everybody laughed and I was just mortified. But then I realized that the people I was doing it for, the viewers, really liked what I was doing. I just keep pressing until somebody kicks me out or shuts me up. Is the president looking at his polling?
That's a heck of a question. Let me just stop you right there.
I'm not going for a viral moment. So you're denying then that there has been an escalation since the Red Sea Patrol?
I totally disagree with the premise of your question.
Everybody was asking their questions, but this woman in the green, she said, you know what? I like problems. I'm gonna choose problems always.
I didn't know who Godiva Goddess was. What I loved about it is that she liked my work and she went viral herself talking about me getting scrappy with John Kirby. And it just told me, wow, okay, I'm doing something right. She felt the passion that I felt, that he was not answering the question. So there has been an escalation.
Okay, again, let me stop you.
I sometimes feel badly that he gets so frustrated with me because I do like him as a person. I think he is a very smart man.
Ma'am, I have answered your...
on the bombs
Ma'am, I've
that
answered
are going to be dropped. Sometimes I do pay the price for my bad behavior. One of the press secretaries for Donald Trump, Sarah Sanders, who's now the governor of Arkansas, didn't call on me for 2 years. We've since learned it was because she was told not to. And then sometimes I get blamed for things I didn't do. With Donald Trump's administration, the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, I was pressing her on something and I said, it's okay, you don't want to engage. And I was falsely accused of calling her a lying bleep, which I didn't. But that did not stop her followers, her supporters, going on just a vitriolic rampage against me. And that was actually one of the scariest moments because that's when I got death threats. They stalked my daughter on Instagram. I don't really care if people are mad at me, but I do care if they go after my kids. And that really upset me because I felt so powerless to protect my daughter. And I actually cried because there was nothing I could do. It made me feel really frightened every time I left the White House campus and that security perimeter. I was afraid because there are guns in the United States, and there are a lot of them, that I might get shot. That one was upsetting because I actually hadn't done anything. Sometimes I think in Washington you have to ruffle a few feathers because it is so rigid in terms of the structure, and it's designed that way. It's designed to control the message. Jen Psaki, who was the first press secretary for Joe Biden, was outstanding at her job, which meant it was horrible for us. She was excellent at giving you a non-answer, but she also was really good at shutting out the majority of the media. And so she would spend the entire briefing basically going through the first 2 rows and acting like the remaining 4 rows of the White House briefing room didn't exist. And I can only put up with that for so long. I used to shout out things like, how about calling on the back row? How about a question over here? You don't think we all have assignments? We don't have deadlines? I did start to try and get the other reporters incensed by the fact that they were being shut out. Eventually there was a letter signed by dozens of journalists within the White House briefing room who signed it in protest against the administration and the fact that they weren't calling on a broad spectrum of reporters. And so I felt like I had been successful in helping to spurn that. people are afraid to ask the questions that I ask or in the way that I ask them. When I'm asking those questions, it's almost like autopilot kicks in, and at the same time, I'm having to do it with an audience. And so it's a very stressful situation because you know that every word you say is going to be analyzed. And it's a high pressure moment. So I'm pretty nervous. I don't think you ever lose the nervousness. And I don't really want to because it's performance enhancing.